And we have, of course, one of the most exciting, one of four of the most exciting weeks of 2026 ahead for everyone who's a Tesla shareholder. It is earnings, Q2 earnings to be more precise. And it's time to think and position ourselves for that crazy earnings week. But we are not just going to talk about Tesla earnings. That is the first part of this session. The second part will be about AI. We have to talk about AI. And Tesla is affected, of course, but SpaceX is also affected. And the entire world is affected in very fundamental ways because the last week was crazy. But first, let's start with Tesla earnings and what is happening. So as you probably know, Tesla is not doing too well. We know that the stock is under pressure. We can take a quick look at what Tesla is doing. Here is my SpaceX chart. We will talk about this maybe later if you guys have questions about it. But as you know, Tesla is at 380, doing horrible during the last month. Ooh, this doesn't look very good. Everyone is getting slaughtered here. And of course, the last days were depressing. Tesla totally on a downtrend. The market on Friday looked very bad. Micron, for example, total crash, then recovered very nicely. So I think we are bottoming out potentially on the semiconductor bloodbath. The entire AI play is getting destroyed. Tesla, no exception, doing very, very badly. Nothing can hold it up. SpaceX, same situation, of course, now under IPO price, down 14% in the last week. And of course, 20% over the last month. So everyone doing horrible. We can, for fun, look also at my favorite second position now after Tesla, which is Micron. That thing got also absolutely destroyed, down 30% over the last month and over the last 5 days. Actually up 3.1%. That's surprising. Why is that? That's actually weird. Why is it 823? It was 5 days ago. Weird. But you see the downtrend. This thing is also getting slaughtered. Of course, after a tremendous run up, it's still up 197% for the year. And that is the big picture here. We are actually doing pretty good for the semis. But when it comes to Tesla, what are we doing with Tesla? Let's look at what awaits us on earnings. Of course, we have all these consensus situations that Tesla is publishing, where we see what analysts actually expect. I don't want to bore you with this. I never believe there is much of alpha to be had with these bets. I mean, some people are trying to play it, but it doesn't even help. Even if Tesla beats some of these numbers, you don't know the whisper number, you don't know what people already know. I do not like to play earnings, and I won't play it in a big way this week either. Because I think this is not the time. When you look at the market, this is not the time where a stock goes up and down based on some earnings surprises to the down or upside. No one really cares. We know deliveries were amazing, blew it out of the water, so this will be some tailwind, but completely 100% priced in. The next question will be, of course, Robotaxi and Optimus, if there's any news. But I can already tell you guys, the odds that the earnings will tell you anything about that are very, very slim to nothing. Because, of course, you know, Elon and the team, they're not going to give anything about that, right? And, you know, I think what we will expect, no news on Robotaxi or Optimus. This is not an earnings thing normally. If these news happen, they happen outside earnings. They happen through actual deployments. What we will see is some disappointment or shock potentially that will be negative on the free cash flow. Let's see, where do I have that? Free cash flow situation, which will be very, very bad. Here. Cash flow Tesla. I thought I had bookmarked this. I think Alexandra Mertz did a good chart on this or comment on this. We know that free cash flow is actually in a giant drop-off across the board, and the market is not a big fan right now of free cash flow destruction or balance sheet destruction. The hyperscalers here, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Oracle, are in here. You see that the free cash flow is absolutely tanking and goes to these semiconductor companies that don't benefit from that, by the way, because the market is nuts right now. Absolutely nuts, with Micron and Nvidia going down while they're sucking up all the free cash flow that comes from the hyperscalers being invested. We know the market doesn't like that, and Tesla will surprise a little bit on the downside. Not downside, I think it's very smart what they're doing, but the market's not going to like it, in my opinion. Here, Alexander Mertz says Wall Street sees free cash flow around negative 3.25 billion for the first time because Tesla is spending money on building out these factories and the cybercaps and Optimus and all these things. She estimates we will see negative 5 billion. That would be very bad. Cash position 41 billion going. Wall Street expects 41 billion, which would be pretty neutral, but she expects it to go down another 2 billion, which is in line with her estimate here. CapEx guidance 2026 went last quarter from 20 billion to 25 billion. Wouldn't shock me if they head now towards 35 to 40 billion. I think that's bogus, Alexandra. I think that's a little exaggerated. But what she's getting here at is we are in investment mode, and we see a disconnect in the market that is a little dangerous for these earnings. I'm not going to predict anything. I never play earnings. I don't believe in playing earnings. There's too much going on there. No one can predict it. And getting alpha on earnings is not possible, in my opinion. So it could go up, could go down, could probably be flat or down 2%, up 1%. That's the most likely outcome. I don't think there's a big move coming, but I'm not betting on anything. But if there's anything, I think we can get a surprise on free cash flow, where Tesla spends more than expected and cash flow drops more than expected. And that can't be good in this market. That can't be a good thing right now. So do I see any great lights at the end of the tunnel for earnings specifically? No, to be honest. You never know. I'm not saying the stock is not going to go up, but down is just more likely. Will we see a run up into earnings? Potentially back to 400, completely speculative, because Wall Street, the negativity that's surrounding everything right now that is in any way technology and AI is out of this world. And Wall Street is probably also reading these things and also thinking, yeah, what if they invest more than expected? Cash flow goes down more than expected. I think that is the most sensitive point. So that is what's going on. So I'm not super excited, but again, everything I'm saying here is not a secret to anyone. So in a way, everything I'm saying is priced in. And so I would not be surprised if we flatline again in earnings unless there's any surprise coming out of this call. I think deliveries are great. I think earnings will be great. I think cash flow will be very bad. I think CapEx will be very high. I think Optimus will not be commented on in a way that says anything. I think Robotaxi will not be commented on in a way that says anything. In so far, I am not playing earnings. I might initiate an out of the money short put position because you always get a juicy premium. So if we go into earnings at 380, which I don't think, I think we are going to go back to 400 or something before. Let's see. With the market, whatever. But if we should go into earnings down here at 380, maybe selling some 370 puts expiring in the week, this week, and getting your $8 or something for it, or $6 is good, because if it actually drops then to 364, where you would lose money on it, then you just buy the stock. So I think that's good. Because let's get to the second part of this Tesla take. While I'm very not bullish on earnings, just for tactical reasons, because everything is priced in and there might be negative cash flow surprises, I remain, and I know right now sentiment is at the bottom, sentiment is destroyed, and I sound stupid and people hate me for it, but I stick to my guns. I was wrong on May, I was wrong on June, but I still believe I'm right on the fundamental bet that cyber cap scaling is the decisive signal for us. And cyber cap is scaling. And let me scroll down to my cyber cap drops. And Cybercap has another big thing that everyone is ignoring now, which is insane. Look at this. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like, if you would have told people in January this year or even December last year that we would look at an unbelievable, like, 125 cybercaps running at a time and a record 245 cybercaps in a single day pushed out in one day, I told everyone we will see a run rate of over 1,000 cybercaps in July. Everyone was laughing at me. I told everyone we already have over 1,000 cybercaps produced, and we will produce just in July more than 1,000 cybercaps. People are laughing at me. Okay, if you're laughing so hard, how do you explain that we have 245 cybercaps in a single day? Of course, we are producing already over 1,000. We are going to probably produce close to 2,000. Latest by September per month, but probably in August, which means we are hitting 5,000 cybercaps by September. Okay, let's just be realistic. No one is talking about these numbers. We need to put our little rational hat on when everyone is crying, when everyone is whining, when everyone's like, oh, I lost 40% of my portfolio. Dude, it's Armageddon out there. What do you expect? But that doesn't change the fact what's happening with Tesla. By September, 5,000 cybercaps. That's just a fact. Okay? So what does it mean? What does it mean? And that is exactly my point that I'm hammering home. I'm sticking to it because it's a very rational point. If we have 5,000 cybercaps, and we have it by September, how do you exactly explain that? If you are a bear or like a little whiny person and you're saying, Joe, it's over. There is no cybercap. FSD, robotaxi, it will take another 10 years. Okay. How do you explain that we have 5,000 cybercaps by September and probably 20,000 by December? 20,000 by December. Really? So you think this is just happening, but they will never be deployed? And we really think we are on a trajectory to 20,000 by December? 15 to 20,000 by December. Exactly as I predicted. And people are just saying, sure, Joe, you are right on this, but you're wrong on robotaxi. They are not being deployed. Really? So you think we are on a trajectory to 20,000, but nothing is going to happen. They're just going to sit in parking lots. And in 2027, Tesla will have booked all parking lots in America to store 200,000 cybercaps. You think that's their plan? Well, I do not think that's their plan. I think they are manufacturing these things. I think they know they have solved the thing effectively. They're fine-tuning some last little pieces. And why am I so confident that this is imminent in the next whatever? I'm not going to make any predictions anymore. But there are only two outcomes here. Either the trajectory that we are on right now, full on exactly as I predicted the trajectory of production, either that keeps going up and then they have to deploy them latest by end of the year, very likely now in Q3, or they have to stop production. There is no possible scenario where they keep churning them out into the hundreds of thousands next year and don't deploy them. So one of two things have to happen. They have to throttle production or they have to deploy them. I do not see any indication that they throttle production, and now would be the time. Now would be the time to throttle production. You don't ramp it up to 5,000 and to 2,000 per month and then say, oops, I guess we have to throttle. No, that's not. The more this is going on, the more it's guaranteed we are actually on track. And when everyone is whining the most, listen to Joe. You know I take a lot of risks by being that clear when everyone is losing hope. I don't have hope. I have eyes and ears, and I'm looking at these things. So that is my point here. And that is much more important than earnings. Because who cares about earnings? This here is important. What is happening here? And what is the plan? And then people say, oh, they have steering wheels. I don't even know if these have steering wheels. Can we see that? That these are Farsats. I think they have a steering wheel. There? Is this a steering wheel? I don't know. This doesn't look like one. I have no idea if there's steering wheels. But we also know that they started manufacturing them without steering wheels. So even if they have steering wheels, some of them won't have it. So that is my main point. And that is why I'm sticking to Tesla, of course. Now is not the time to bail. Now, I also like Micron. I think there will be a bounce. I don't think this thing's going to crash much more. It's at ridiculously undervalued situations. But that's what I think. Okay, so let's go through the questions here before we go about the AI storm. We are like in unprecedented times. So let's go through the questions. And then in 10 minutes, I will continue with my AI take. That is the second part today. We have a two-part show. And the second part is very important too. Okay, Poxy Frostbite. So big fan number 1 says, hi Joe. Hello, big fan number 1. CS Penyo says, to the moon, exactly. Poxy says, this is the seasonal trend. People need cash and there is no savings, so they need to sell. Why do they need cash now? I think it's going to be a valley of tears for months. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, the semiconductor bloodbath is very fake and phony. So I don't believe this is going on for much longer on the semiconductor side. Andreas Pedersen says, people should stop worry. It's all about fear of Hormuz Strait. That's it. It will be fine. I think it was a combination, Andreas. I think Andreas had to go to the gym. I just read, so he's not here anymore. But yeah, the Iran situation, I mean, this is, I don't know what's going on there. Like, I don't even understand. I think Iran has had it now, and it's getting extremely dangerous. I think Trump has messed this up. I think I might have been wrong on Iran. Let's see. Because I had this belief that Trump has some sense left in him. But if this goes wrong, there is no excuse for him. This would be the biggest mess up probably ever. The most unnecessary suicide I've ever seen of a president and of a country. But let's see what happens. But yeah, I'm losing a little bit faith that there is anyone who has any kind of control in the White House. So that could now escalate. I just heard Iran is considering boots on the ground. Iran is considering boots on the ground and invading Kuwait or something. That's the latest. I mean, I wouldn't blame them. Why not? So this is all, I mean, who knows? Mark Pilsworth says, rip Joe's stock portfolio. Try and get out if you can on any run-up into earnings. Well, I definitely would not get out at this point. I would be not on margin. But I think Tesla is in an amazing situation. And even if the market has a hiccup and, you know, whatever, it doesn't matter. Even if the market crashes and Tesla goes to 200, who cares? There is no way that the market keeps up its ridiculous tantrum it's throwing right now. There is no way you can value things like Micron at a 7x forward PE when that thing grows at a minimum of 100% a year. It's just completely nuts, right? A 7 forward PE means that at a growth rate of 100%, that you can buy the company for the profits of 3 years. I mean, hello, this is the biggest mispricing I've ever seen. Like you basically the amount you pay for Micron, you get back in earnings within 3 years. Are you kidding me? That's nuts. And of course, if that's the benchmark, Tesla could have 2 million robotaxis actually in operation and would be 30% overvalued on that metric. But that metric has never been the metric in the history of the stock market. We are at the most undervalued stock market when it comes to these key stocks that we have ever seen. I can't even remember when we were there. That's a long story. But as with all these pullbacks, as we saw it with the DeepSeek shock, I bought NVIDIA like crazy and I did a good job. That was last year. The pullback in November, I bought it. It was great. So these stupid pullbacks, I ran a little bit, but it was also K3, Kimi K3, I think. Now that I had time to think about what happened Thursday and Friday, it was the release of Kimi, in my opinion, that killed the semiconductors. Which is dumb. It's like DeepSeek. It does the opposite. It creates more demand for them, not less. So, Poxy Frostbite. For me, Adobe was a good short-term call for my cash, waiting for some SpaceX buying. Since 16th June, it's up over 14%. Nice. A little risky here, but I think Poxy Frostbite did the right thing. the bloodbath in SaaS stocks was also over. And what do you think? The SaaS stocks they're turning themselves into AI companies. They have all these corporate clients. You're not going to replace Adobe with some stupid AI company. Adobe is turning into an AI company and has all the leads. Like, I think the SaaS apocalypse was a good buy. Tesla Granny says, "Hi Joe, glad to catch you live. I'm excited about earnings." Well, yeah, me too, Tesla Granny, but I'm trying to stay on the sidelines with any additional risk, just with my core position. Andreas Peterson, gonna hit the gym. We'll watch this tomorrow. Joe, sure the best. Well, second best Tesla Daily Show is the best, but after that, you're the best. Wait, Tesla Daily? It's better than me. See you tomorrow, Joe. See you then. Strictus. We are around an uptrend that has held for past 2 years. I imagine we could go down on earnings and recover end of week or next Monday. Just my inexperienced, unprofessional opinion anyway. Yeah, could be. Unless there's a blockbuster reveal, we will already priced in for big increase. We know Tesla is cheap. We know SpaceX will be cheaper. Yes, it's a no-brainer what to buy today. The question is if there becomes a time to buy a Tesla SpaceX ratio or to switch altogether to SpaceX. Yeah, Epoxy Frostbite. I have a bookmark here somewhere on this. I want to show you the SpaceX thing. I'm going to probably do a show on that, but I can give you a preview. I mean, that's what people think. That's what I actually think is going to happen. I don't think we will see that much of a run-up, but August 11th, we see this 20% unlock. September, we see a 14% unlock, 14% unlock, 28% unlock. I mean, these are enormous selling pressure events for SpaceX, and it's still totally highly valued compared to any comparable. Against that, we have Colossus 2. My team is doing more and more analysis. We are going to come out hopefully next week, maybe the week after, with a more specific Colossus prediction. I think SpaceX will see massive inflows of earnings this year, and that might offset some of that trend. But even after these earnings, they will probably triple earnings. They will end up at 25 billion or something, but does it help you if you're 2 trillion? Probably not. So this is happening. Okay, plus chip for Optimus is already being produced by Samsung and Taylor. Yeah, but Tesla Granny, this is all good stuff, but no one cares about that right now in this market. Always remember Micron. This is all future cash flows. Micron is drowning in current cash and insane growth, and everyone is bashing it. So as long as the market is that insane, but I don't think it will stay this insane for long. Tesla has no chance, that's what I think, as a stock, as long as this is the situation. RAM percent is currently what's important. If you see RAM, the people that understand operations and logistics understand that even 10% RAM is very big. Well, but we need to see unsupervised deployment of cybercaps before anything happens here. Young Dude 80. AJ says Tesla fundamentals, profit from core business is deteriorating. With that in mind, if RT is could it down to 300s or lower, what do you think? Young Dude, AJ is a total Tesla hater right now. I don't know why he's a total Elon and Tesla hater. I read some of his robotaxi margin predictions or EBIT contribution margin predictions. They are probably, what was it, a fourth of ours, and I think ours are pretty good. So I think he got it wrong on Cybercap. Totally wrong, by the way. So I think he comes in at 20,000 a year at the best. Run rate, we come in at 50,000 a year that Cybercap actually makes at scale. And in the beginning, I think he's at 10,000 per year, and I think we are at, I forgot, at 20,000 or 25,000 in the beginning, at 100,000 cybercaps or something. So I think AJ is wrong on this. And the profit from core business, I don't know if it's deteriorating. It actually recovered, and it keeps recovering, in my opinion, because from 2025 to 2026. So the question where the stock goes is a total function of the market. The market right now is insane. The market is like a hating market. It hates everything that is tech. Tesla Granny says Trump will come through for us. I have lost hope, Tesla Granny. I was always a Trump supporting person, but this Iran thing is very irritating. And if that goes wrong, there's just absolutely no excuse. This was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. So at some point, we need to be realistic. Let's see. I was always willing to cut him a lot of slack, but this is getting really stupid. I'm exec. What? Emax exec. We didn't get 1,800 active taxes in April. When do you think we'll get to that? Do you think it's the same inflection point? I think the situation has slightly changed, but regarding the inflection point, if we see thousands and thousands and thousands of cyber caps already in parking lots or being tested, and then we're getting into hundreds of cyber caps, I think the stock could follow quickly, because the difference between 100, 200 and 1,800 is very marginal if you're at a ramp, right? So I think it's now more into the CERN theory that where it's not a specific number. The question is, when is it hundreds of these things, and when do people start believing they just scale? Astrictus says, do know what is goal in Iran, to be honest, but the Iranian people definitely want this. What do they want? They want war? I don't know. The overall tech volatility is going to hurt retail the most. They are buying insurance, which they don't understand, and will buy high and sell low like always. Sure. And we know a lot of Koreans are leveraged into this market, which is bad. Scott Anders, Iran boots on the ground. No way it would be a pigeon shoot. Think 7-day war or USA versus Iraq. Well, I'm not a war expert, but I think some troops invading Kuwait and taking the US bases. The US is very, very in a very bad shape, these bases. They're not well defended. They're all like half retreated. And it would be a very symbolic victory if they could move in and destroy these bases and take American prisoners. Of course, that would then lead to a total escalation. But I do not think the Iranian, guard, the crazy guard, would mind that. So I don't know. It's not good. Poxy Frostbite, Wall Street is even worse on the tech bump. The numbers they like are high. The numbers tell us nothing about companies like MU, Micron, being able to reinvest and serve the new demand level. They don't have the plan or the ability. It takes years. Who? Micron? What do you mean, Poxy Frostbite? Joe told us that Q1 will be choppy, Q2 will be worse. Yeah, Q2 is so far much worse than I thought. Let me put it like this. SaaS companies are future AI brands. I'm 5% in until we arrive at the SpaceX bottom. Yes. I mean, the only thing that makes me cautious about my SpaceX predictions, it's too obvious. But so far I was completely right. So I'm always cautious if what I'm saying is so obvious that, because if something is completely obvious in the stock market, is it really going to happen? But in SpaceX's case, yeah, it's completely obvious, but the forcing function to make it obvious is so strong that it might just be exactly what we expect. That's why the short ratio is so high, the short interest, but it's just going to happen. Thoughts on all the 245 cyber caps having wheels and pedals? Do they all of them have wheels and pedals? I didn't check it. It's very hard to see for me because someone said they have it, but do they all? I don't know. Do they have it or not? How do we know? Look at this. Look at this down here. I don't see that. Like, everyone is saying, oh, they have wheels and paddles. And then I look, it's like, where are the wheels and paddles? I'm not saying it's not the case, but is it the case? Like how? Can I zoom in more? Why can I not zoom in more? Copy image. Maybe I can let me see if I can open my special technology, my PowerPoint technology. Let's do this now live and be CIA. Play a little CIA here, satellite photo CIA. Let's see if I can do this. And then let's do this. I just have to figure out how to share the screen. Can I share the screen? Let's try to share this window. Oh, I have to share the entire screen. Here, this is my new technology. It's called PowerPoint. Let's do it right now and debunk all these speculators. Okay, I want to see. Here, you only see it at Joe's Mega Show, where we actually debunk all these people. Let's do this even more. We will be like the CIA and we'll see. Okay, I zoom it to death until I see pixels. I want to see what is going, and then here's cloud. So we need cloudless. Like, what is this? How is this? See, guys, like, I don't know. I don't see steering wheels. Who's even telling us that there are steering wheels? Can you see the screen? I will zoom it even more in. I will zoom it to death. Okay, we zoom it to death. Here's the truth. The moment of truth is coming. I want to see the steering wheels. Okay. Okay, now. This is a cloud. This could be a steering wheel. I mean, do you guys see steering wheels? This is a shadow. I mean, I can absolutely not see a steering wheel. Is this a steering wheel? Here, up here, they have no shadows. Like, look at this. How is this a steering wheel? God damn it. I cannot work for the CIA. Here, look at this thing. There is no steering wheel. Okay, what is your take on this? Any opinions? Did you guys see a steering wheel? I do not see a steering wheel. Yeah, no one sees a steering wheel. So what is this whole... Everyone's like, why do they have all steering wheels? Like, I don't see a steering wheel. I can't guarantee there are no steering wheels in there, but I can't see them. So, I'm sorry. We did now the full technology review. Okay, let's go back to normal sharing. So that was an important exercise. Poxy says, on Microns, sure, they got some short-term margin. How will they use the cash? They weren't expecting it, so they aren't going to have a well-laid plan for expansion. Tesla is going to devour the other semis. Well, no one can build this RAM, by the way. It's not, Tesla cannot build this RAM. Knarf says, I ran with nukes. I thought you were smart. Well, I'm German. You know, if you become fanatic, back in the days, remember the Germans, they say, under no circumstance can Russia, whatever they made up, have nukes. And then all Germans died. So being very fanatic about Iran can never have nukes. What are you willing to sacrifice? The United States? You know, every time people get or sound a little fanatic, I'm getting a little cautious. It's not about nukes or not nukes. It's about what can you do, and are you willing to commit suicide? That's the question. That's why I'm very skeptical. the whole nuke story, I mean, Go 5. Joe, are you waiting for moon, Mars, space, compute, civilization within our lifetimes, or just hoping it's counted to before we die? What do you mean? Are you waiting for moon, Mars, space, compute, civilization? So my theory is I don't care about Mars. Mars was always a stupid idea. I said it forever. Moon is gonna happen, but I wouldn't wait for it. But space compute, Go 5. I think people underestimate how fast this is gonna happen. My take on it is I will not be surprised if you have a gigawatt compute in space by 2029. A gigawatt, okay? A gigawatt. So that's 1,000 of these satellites, or 500 even, only because they just doubled it. So 500 of these satellites. Is this right? No, we need 5 to get to a megawatt. No, 5,000 of these satellites. So we need 5,000 of the satellites, that's 1 gigawatt, and then 10-folded every year. That would be 10 gigawatt and then 100 gigawatt. 100 gigawatt in space before, let's say, 2033 to be cautious. So this is not far off. And the money you will get for that stuff will start flowing in 2027, the contract. So, and then in a big way in 2028. So the space compute is real. That's what I'm saying. The moon will take forever. Mars will whatever. No one cares. Chris Giddy says, ultimately, what do steering wheels mean? I tell you what they mean, Chris. They are very important. If you have cybercabs without a steering wheel, you can only deploy them in real life. Well, you can only deploy them unsupervised. I think it's very important. As long as they have steering wheels, people say, whatever, this is just testing and prototyping. The non-steering wheel cybercabs, and I think I'm now sure that they don't have, like, look at them. You know, I zoomed them in for you. And that is a very big deal. Downloads. I want to zoom them in again just for fun. Open file. How does it open it here? Can I zoom this in? Is this a window I can share? That's a much better zoom than the stupid PowerPoint technology. Why did I not do that? Here, I will do it just for you guys again. Steering wheel is very important. To throttle means to accelerate, not stop. Is that true? Throttle. No, I don't think so. No. Physical strangulation. To throttle someone means to grip their throat, to stop them from breathing. And in computing, throttling refers to the intentional slowing down of a digital process. Mechanical engine use verb to throttle down. Well, to throttle down means to reduce. To throttle, to press the gas pedal or open the valve to increase power. So in physical strength, if you kill people, it means throttling the throat. In technology, it means slowing down a network service. In mechanical use, to throttle means to press the gas pedal, or to throttle down means to reduce speed. So I'm right twice and you're right once. So I win 2-3. Okay. Kim B says, service centers needs to be up and running before cybercab scales, but this will never be a problem. You can have service centers up in absolutely no time. I do not think that is in any way a constraint. Okay, I have this one last scaling exercise here just for fun, because we want to make this decision now in this session so you can debunk everyone on X. We want to have the final determination if there are steering wheels in there or not. I have a better zoom now. Look at this. Which one do we take? One in front. Like, look at these. Look at these. Okay, maximum scale. There is no steering wheel. No steering wheel. Final proof. No steering wheel. Here's just cloud mirroring on the ones on the right here. That's why it looks like it. So there you have it. These are all real ones with no steering wheel. Okay. Now we wrap it up. I will just give you a quick take on the whole situation on AI. I think it's very important to comment on this because I want to make
reasoning capabilities are limited, they might be incredibly effective as an agent because it actually
when you look
corresponds
at
to two different technical approaches behind the scenes.
What is happening here with this release of Kimi K3? This is a very, very big deal. Here's Opus 4.8 and here's Kimi K3. They coded a game or whatever as seen. Look at the difference. Kimi K3, a free open source model from China, is absolutely destroying Opus. And it's even destroying...
Precise in my view.
It's even destroying Fable. Here, it coded this thing. Look at this. Crazy. Here, Kimi coded this little game for $16 and Fable coded for $37. This is how they compare. I think Fable is a little nicer, but not much. I mean, hello? They coded this. So what is happening here? Why is this so important? I think this is actually a Sputnik moment. And people have discussed this before when DeepSeek came out, but this time it's serious. Fable, this is serious because Kimi K3 is clearly getting very close to these frontier models, okay? It's getting very, very close to the frontier models. Here's Kevin Baker saying something. Kimi K3 might be an important inflection point for AI. Kevin Baker is very smart, by the way. Potentially negative for Anthropic and OpenAI, while being net positive for essentially every other company in the world. Yes, yes, yes. Blah, blah, blah. He's basically saying that we are now at the point of close to AGI. These things are not AGI itself, but they deliver the components for AGI. Now, for the first time, we have an open source model that everyone can use for free. In 2 weeks, they will release the open weights. You can put it on your Mac. You can put it on your DJX Spark or whatever you have at home. And you can run this model. And it's basically a near Fable level model, significantly better than Opus 4.8, which was the absolute frontier just a few months ago. And now you get these things for free. It is enormous what that means, because now we are at the imminent point of a real intelligence explosion on Earth. Xi Jinping has also announced, by the way, that this becomes the Chinese strategy. There's no way the US can prevent them now from releasing these weights, which they might try. But because Xi Jinping has said, no, China has a domination strategy and they will win this as it looks like right now. China will release these models. The entire world will adopt Chinese models now. Because if you have the choice between Fable and this thing for free, what are you going to do? And we have DeepSeek coming, which is expected to beat this potential here, potentially in a few weeks. And we have Qwen that already came out today or yesterday. It's a little worse than this, but even cheaper. We are now at the inflection point where really serious things are going to happen. And China, I think, is at the moment in time where they might get a major victory here, and it's getting very interesting. Because if their plan is to swamp the world with free AI models that are as good as the American frontier models, they will rapidly capture Europe, for example, because Europe doesn't have its own models. They are going to take Chinese models not because they like China more than the Americans, but because Chinese models can be owned by Europe. These are open weight models. You totally control that. You can run it on your own computer. So the fact that China is going all in now, right at the moment where we have an inflection point in total frontier capability, independent of US, China, everything, just the fact that we have Fable and K3, and now Sol, and soon DeepSeek, at that frontier level, where I can already sense when I use these things, they're not as good as humans yet, as the median human expert. But now these models have all the ingredients to significantly exceed nearly all humans. I'm not talking about the top 10% or top 5%. I'm talking about the median human white collar worker. We have now all the ingredients. From here, it's just a little dabbling, little harness here, harness there to make it happen. But the core models are now absolutely capable of absolutely dwarfing the median white collar worker across all white collar jobs, And that means 80% of jobs, 80 to 90% of white collar jobs, of all non-physical jobs in the world, are now at risk within an 18 months time frame. I think much sooner, but 18 months maximum. On the current technology, that's not even stopping. And with technology, I mean the models. What's missing are the harnesses and the fine tunings, but they're easy peasy. And the fact that right now China's going all in with a new regulatory agency they just set up with rapidly improved approvement cycles. They're approving new models now within a week. China, the Chinese government approves new models. They have to approve them within a week. Down from 60 days. It was 8 weeks before. It was just a month ago, 8 weeks. Now it's 1 week. So the government is all in. I think they know that is their moment in time to gain massive amounts of power in the world. Soft power, because these are open source models. Soft power, because they can't really control them, but they can control what the models think. They have their Chinese propaganda in there a little bit, and they create dependencies. So I tell you guys, I know we are all lost in Tesla and SpaceX and stock markets, but these are civilization shaping moments. And I'm not saying the US has lost this. The US still has a leg up in terms of technology, but this is a very dangerous moment where China moves ahead. And they will see massive adoption across the entire world, including inside the United States, but definitely Europe and the rest of the world will embrace these Chinese models because it's just economically better. And now the ball is in the court of the US. Of course, the US also now creates better open source models. We know Meta does stuff. We know Mirati, like the former OpenAI woman. What is it called? Index. What is it called? I already forgot her startup, but she's doing good stuff. And NVIDIA is doing open source. But these Chinese guys, they're extremely good. And so we are now on two aspects on a Sputnik or transformational moment. China is charging ahead. I think maybe it's the first, maybe I'm the first who says that here, but I tell you, this is the moment. This weekend is the moment where China charges ahead in AI. They're not catching up, they're charging ahead because they will achieve massively more adoption very soon. And independent of that, all of the frontier models have now reached that critical mass where the cat is out of the bag. The cat is out of the bag. We are now hitting the point of a total intelligence explosion as of July 2026, because now Fable, Sol, Grok 4.5 and Grok, by the way, will totally also move ahead. That's my prediction. By the end of the year, Grok will be an absolutely dominating system together with some Chinese. So intelligence explosion plus a paradigm shift with China versus the United States. And the US has to rethink everything. The security approach, the frontier labs have to rethink how they actually handle this whole thing. Who doesn't have to be worried is NVIDIA, Micron, and the hyperscalers, because they don't care. They just put in the Chinese models. They already have. We already use DeepSeek, by the way, with Draupnir and Pioneer Lands, because it's just the best for us in terms of cost and power and everything. Now, K3, we are testing it right now. So we mostly use Grok. We mostly use DeepSeek and a little bit of Grok. That is the reality if you build complex AI systems, which we do. We know what's best, and K3 is being tested as we speak. And I'm very bullish on the DeepSeek team. I think when they come up with the next iteration, it's getting very interesting. Personally, when I don't use Draupnir, I still use Fable. I think it's still the best for certain things. And I use ChatGPT Codex. So I use Claude Cowork, Codex, I use Grok personally, plus I use Draupnir, and Draupnir use, so Pioneer Lens Draupnir, and we use in our agentic system DeepSeek. The advantage of Draupnir for me versus Claude Cowork is Draupnir is much more embedded into the entire Pioneer operating system, which allows us to be on the web, build websites, all kinds of stuff in real time, connect to our databases and everything. But it's very interesting what's happening. Okay, let's go here. Poxy Frostbite says the one that I can see the most clearly, I see the dash and the seat, no steering wheel. Exactly. I think Poxy Frostbite, these new cybercaps have no steering wheel. The cost of Anthropic's spend versus Kimi, exactly. The race is for AI hardware. There's almost no more in software. There are no real established AI software brands. Well, it's an interesting Poxy if you think in stocks, maybe, but if you think in power, the frontier models are very important, like in political and distribution power and stuff like that. It's a tricky thing, but yeah. I mean, in hardware, people, especially Tesla fans, sometimes overestimate what Tesla can do. No one can compete with Micron Technologies or with SK Hynix, not even Samsung. Samsung is totally behind. So this HTM RAM, dudes, it's not easy. It's like these crazy machines you need for manufacturing, you know, the fabs is, what's the name? You know, like, it's too late here. The Dutch people. So no one can do certain things. No one can produce this RAM. And the Chinese are not getting there. So I agree, actually, with Poxy. The hardware companies have enormous moats. No one is going to compete with TSMC. No one is going to compete really with NVIDIA. And no one is going to compete with the HTM RAM people, which is very good for them. Now, Tesla can produce a lot of inference chips, but that's a different story. K3 shows a clear graph of usage. None of the others do. Yes, and K3 just had to throttle, by the way, AGO, not to use the throttling thing again, but they just had to scale it down, by the way, because they had too much demand. Here, did I bookmark this? This little joke, I didn't make the joke, but that's the Google team when they heard about the Gemini team and they heard about. I got a video leak from the Gemini team. Right out of the Google office. Kimi 3. Where's Gemini, by the way? Where's Gemini? Where's Gemini? Oops. Here, David Sachs. This is concerning. For the first time, a Chinese model, Kimi K3, has taken #1 on the front-end code arena. #1, you know what that means. Here's Claude Fable. And people say, oh, it's just coding. Dude. I mean, there is no excuse anymore. Yeah, this is a front-end code arena. So what about the back-end? Blah? Dudes, front-end is still coding. Of course, Claude Fable is still better in other things. But the fact that there is a free model out there with no constraints you can just put on your MacBook now that's beating Claude Fable, just let that sink in. Just think about it. Just think about that. AGO. Unfortunately, the Western models are subscription anything you want to do. Charging to get into the cool Berlin club, but drinks are very expensive. Yes. Poxy Frostbite, Osho, you're correct. Any of the connected AI software has socio-political value, but they aren't the main character in the story. Exactly. I'm bullish on the SaaS stocks. I think Salesforce and Adobe, they have tremendous moats in terms of client networks and knowledge of the clients and key account managers. They just have to swap out their little stupid software, but that's not a big deal. Joy of summer fruit. Human. Hey, Super AI, help us solve the low birth rate. Super AI, no. Of course it's not going to help us with that. By the way, I know how to solve the birth rate problem. You just find a hot girl and have babies with her. That's what people have forgotten to do.
I believe Cloud's
Everyone
approach is
pretends this is
essentially
a
betting on the
complicated problem.
fact
It's
that
not a
he
complicated problem. I'm not going to talk about babies today, but it's not complicated. It's not complicated. Also, it's an evolutionary competitive game. Like the idea that we need to make everyone have babies is stupid in the first place. It's just evolution. If people become feminists, they die out. And then the people who are whatever, believe something that makes them have a lot of babies, they will just win. I don't even understand the problem. It's a stupid problem. Especially now with AI and robots, like we don't need the workers anymore. So that's the situation. Should we here end with this nice thing? This is Qwen 3.8, looks like shit. This was released today. Here's Kimi K3. Look at this. Here's Claude Fable. And here's Claude Opus. And this is like some Arena in the Sky tournament. That's what we're seeing here. So that's the situation. I told you, you heard it here first. The AI race is on. It's a very big deal. By the way, in Pioneer Lands, we are making progress. I know I let everyone wait for this. It's like an enormous piece of progress. But I promise you, when we launch this, the little bit of luck in July, the relaunch of Pioneer Lands and the Pioneer Academy will be mind-boggling because we solved the giant problem. We have now figured out the age of AGI. I'm putting it into the master narrative in the Pioneer Academy. There will be a understand part of the world where I go through the age of AGI, the AGI economics, and then we have a predict piece where I predict the AI build out human equivalency when we actually hit real digital human and labor replacement, which will be in 2028, by the way, at large scale, maybe in end of 2027. What will happen next, where the real bottleneck is that will surprise everyone, because it has to do with humans, and what we can do about it. I'm very happy because we did insane amounts of thinking and modeling on what AI actually means for the economy and for civilization. What actually are the real bottlenecks that will be apparent in 2030 and will become serious even before, and what we can do about it, and what the effects will be of doing something about it or not doing something about it. So this will be a very, very big thing. I'm very happy about it. Very happy. Took a long time since, when was that? In September last year, I first had the idea how to build this, and it's took me a little longer, but it's going to be amazing. So this is going to come very soon, and can't come soon enough with this AI stuff going on. I know we talk a lot about stocks here, Tesla, SpaceX, which are connected to this whole story. We talk about AI stocks, but there are much bigger things going on that will also be much more important than even stocks for all of us, even for our money. So it will be very important to understand the situation. These are unprecedented times. We always talk about it, but people still underestimate the enormous disruption that is waiting for us in 2027. It's not even waiting for us, it's happening as we speak, but it will go so exponential you have no idea. And this is not just predictions for stocks, it is predictions for jobs, for rapid, hard transformation of the economy, for all the corporations all over the place, and then politically, of course. This is the time to really get ahead of the game. But I'm not even going to do too much advertising here for Pioneer Lands because we are not even ready on Pioneer Lands. We are rebuilding the whole product UI so you people understand better what we even do there. Right now it's a little confusing. So there will be a total revamp in July with the new academy and the new content and the new subscriptions and the new AI system. That's why I'm so distracted all the time. So just wait for it. It's going to be huge. Okay. Now, last check on the chat. Do we have any additional questions? And then we are ready to go. In case someone wants to catch the World Cup final. Now I'm a little bit like at peace again with the World Cup after France got kicked out and England got kicked out. Now we have Spain and Argentina. I'm fine with either one. I don't even care. But it's happening in 3 minutes, so let's watch this. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. I hope that was interesting. The world is getting crazier by the day. My recommendations, always watch All In podcast, besides me, of course. And the Moonshot. The Moonshot podcasts is getting better. They had a very good one now, an emergency podcast on this stuff. I thought it was very good with Imad, with Dave, and everyone. You know, it was a good podcast. So it's time to really stay on top of AI because things are accelerating dramatically. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks, Poxy. Thanks, AGO5. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, everyone. And see you very soon.